The presidential election process. Good afternoon, everyone. Today we'll follow the winding path that transforms a presidential candidate's announcement into Inauguration Day, exploring the constitutional structure, electoral mechanisms, and political institutions that make it all possible. Let's look at a few points about the election process. 1. Eligibility and campaign launch. The journey begins with constitutional eligibility. A presidential candidate must be at least 35 years old, a natural-born U.S. citizen, and have resided in the United States for 14 years, about a year before Election Day. Hopefuls register with the Federal Election Commission and formally announce their candidacy. This early kickoff sets off a long and competitive campaign season. 2. Primaries, caucuses, and delegates. From early winter into spring of the election year, states and political parties conduct primaries and caucuses to choose delegates bound to presidential candidates. These events, held from January through June, vary in format. State-run primaries resemble standard voting. Party-led caucuses like Iowa's involve local gatherings and group alignments. Iowa's caucus remains influential as the first major event of the delegates accumulate based on state rules, including a role for superdelegates in the Democratic Party, a group of party officials not bound by primary results. 3. National conventions and nomination. In late summer, national conventions officially nominate the presidential and vice presidential ticket. Delegates cast their votes, and campaigns announce running mates around this time. These conventions also showcase party platforms and unify the party behind its nominee. 4. General election. Voting and popular ballots. On Election Day, generally the Tuesday after the first Monday in November, voters cast ballots not directly for presidents but for elector slates pledged to candidates. Most states use a winner-take-all system, awarding all electoral votes to the statewide victor. Maine and Nebraska allocate electoral votes by congressional district, with 2 bonus electors for the statewide win. Some states have additional unique rules, like ranked choice voting in Alaska and Maine, or open primaries in California and Washington. 5. The Electoral College. The Electoral College, composed of 538 electors, is rooted in constitutional compromise. Each state's electoral votes equal its total congressional delegation, plus 3 for Washington, D.C., via the 23rd Amendment. Electors formally cast their votes in state capitals in mid-December, typically between December 14th and 20th. These votes are certified and sent to Congress. Electoral votes are counted in a joint session of Congress on January 6, presided over by the Vice President, with new rules since 2022 restricting objections to only when signed by 1/5 of members in each chamber. If no candidate obtains a majority, 270 votes, the Vice President is chosen by the Senate, and the House of Representatives selects the President from the top 3 candidates, with each state delegation casting 1 vote. 6. Controversy and critique. The Electoral College system is contentious. Critics note that it can produce a presidency without a popular vote win, as occurred in 2000 and 2016. Supporters argue it balances representation across states and encourages national campaigning beyond populous urban centers. Additionally, faithless electors, those who diverge from pledged votes, remain rare but legally possible, though many states now enforce penalties to deter this behavior. Following the contested 2020 election and January 6 tensions, scholars and legislators have pushed for reform of the Electoral Count Act, arguing the current rules for vote certification and objection leave vulnerabilities to political manipulation. 7. Inauguration Day. On January 20th, the president-elect is inaugurated and officially assumes office, following peaceful certification of the election results. Key themes and reflections. The U.S. presidential election system is indirect by design, blending popular participation with state-tiered decision-making. It exemplifies federalism, with each state administering its own process. Political parties and historical reforms have shaped nomination dynamics, from convention power to primary dominance. Although institutionalized and ritualized, the system remains vulnerable to controversy and legal challenge, especially in close elections. So, let's conclude. From candidate eligibility and primaries to electoral vote count and inauguration, the U.S. presidential election process forms a complex yet resilient system. Grounded in constitutional compromise and evolved over centuries, its ability to deliver legitimate leadership rests on a blend of constitutional structure, political norms, and public trust.